Good morning, everybody. We are almost done with Algebra 1. We are actually on our last unit. This is the last unit that kind of preps you a little bit for some Algebra 2 stuff. So we kind of look at some of the basic ideas so that when you go to see this in Algebra 2, you don't panic and run back to me and go, Mrs. Nurse, you never taught this. So basically, what I'm doing is I'm taking chapters 10 and 11 out of the Algebra 1 textbook, the online one you guys have access to, and kind of shortening and combining them to get through just the really big important stuff that I want to make sure you guys know before Algebra 2 2 years from now. So first things first, we're going to talk about square root functions today. So it says make a table to graph the parent function of a square root function, then answer the questions below. So remember, parent function is like for linear equations, it's y equals x. For quadratics, it's y equals x squared, right? It's the parent function is the original basic version of that equation, basically, okay? So the parent function for square roots is just square root of x, nice and simple. So first thing we need to do is we need to make a table to try to wrap our heads around what this looks like. And some of you guys already know what it looks like, but all right, so first thing I think about is I always want to plug in 0. Like that's usually just where I start, is finding the y-intercept. So if I plug in 0, the square root of 0 is 0. So I know there's a point right here on my graph. Well, then I start to do like positive and negative numbers, but if I plug in -1, we don't know what the square root of -1 is. We just know that that's not a thing. So I'm just going to focus on positive numbers. So if I plug in +1, square root of 1 is 1, so 1 comma 1 is a point. I could plug in 2, but here's the problem with 2. Do you know the square root of 2 off the top of your head? Probably not. If you type it in your calculator, it's like 1.4, blah, blah, blah. But I'm making the table myself. Like no one's telling me what numbers to plug in. So why not plug in numbers that are easy? So like, for example, the next number that's the easiest to plug in is 4. And I say, well, what's the square root of 4? 2. So 4 comma 2 is my next dot on my graph. Another one might be, next one would be 9, right? Square root of 9 is 3. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I get 3. Now you might be wondering, since we just came off of quadratics, why I'm not doing the plus or minus thing. For this particular chapter, just do the positive versions. I wish I had more time with you guys to kind of explain the why behind it, but the main reason is if you do plus or minus, then it's not a function, because you'll get a shape that looks like this. And you can't have a function that has 2 y values for 1 x value. So that's kind of the short version. But if that doesn't quite make sense, just trust me, the only time you use plus and minus is when you're working with and going from a, like taking the square root of something that's squared. Okay, so we'll talk about that a little bit more, but for graphing especially, just do the positive version. So my shape of my graph, if I connect all those dots, looks something like this. If you turn your device crooked, you will actually see the 1, 3, 5 that happens with quadratics, right? So from the first dot to the second dot, it's 1. From the second dot to the third dot, it's 3, right? So it's almost like if you turn your head, you can kind of see that 1, 3, 5 appear like quadratics, except it's going sideways. So the shape of the graph is kind of like a sideways quadratic, but it's just one part of it. Okay, if I'm looking at the domain, domain's talking about your x values. So it starts at 0, and 0 is included, and it keeps going forever and ever and always, right? That arrow at the end lets me know it keeps going. Now the range, kind of running out of room here, the range is all your y values, which also start at 0. And since it keeps going and going forever to the right, it's also going up slightly every single time. So the range and the domain are actually the same for both of those guys. So let's dive into this a little bit deeper and see if we can clarify things that might still be a little wonky for you right now. Find the domain and range of each of the following square root functions. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to pause the video, try to find the domain and range for these 4 graphs, and when you're ready to see the answers, go ahead and unpause and see how you did. All right, so correct answers for these ones. For this first one right here, the domain would be written as -4 to infinity. And the range is from 0 to infinity. Remember, domain is your x values, range is your y values. All right, for this second one, domain is from -5 to infinity, right? So here's -5 and that's like infinity because it keeps going forever and ever and always, okay? Range, we're looking at the y values, so we're going from -2 to forever and ever and always. Going kind of fast through this part because we talked about domain and range before spring break, so I feel like that's something that we're doing okay with. If you need some extra assistance, just stop by for office hours and I can help a little bit more. All right, this one down here, the domain is from -2 to infinity. And the range, now this one's different. Notice how this one's going downwards. So the range is actually from -infinity to 0 because you always want to go smallest and then biggest. So in this case, that one's a little wonky. So I want to make sure I showed you one like that. For the last one, domain, it looks like it starts at 1 and goes to infinity. And the range is kind of the same idea. It's -infinity first, and then it goes up to 4 and kind of stops. So I'd write it just like that. Don't forget the parenthesis versus the bracket. It's kind of like open circle, closed circle, where the parenthesis goes with infinity because it's not something we can grasp. But for example, on this one right here, it started right at that x value of -2, which is why we used a bracket because -2 is included, okay? All right, let's keep going. Next thing we need to talk about is some prior knowledge, okay? So remember this guy from quadratics? Left and right but backwards, up and down but normal, 1, 3, 5, 7. So what if we just change the squared into a square root? Doesn't that look pretty much the same? It's still a, it's still h, it's still k. So if you had to guess, I want you to pause the video and make a guess for these shifts, these 5 shifts that are shown below. Just make a guess. I think it's going to do this. I think it's going to do this. Up, down, left, right, flip, get wider, thinner, right? Whatever you want to call it, just to see. And when you're ready to see the answers, go ahead and unpause. All right, this first one kind of looks like a plus k because it's outside of that square root. So this means it's going to go up 3. Versus, look at this next one right here. Do you see the -1? I would think, oh, okay, that means I'm going down 1. But notice how the square root goes all the way over the 1 versus it did not do that on the first one. It's almost like you're kind of looking at it like this for the first one. And the second one is all of that's under the square root. So that's like your left and right but backwards. So since it's -1, I'm going to shift my parent function right 1, right? Left and right but backwards. The negative in the front, well, we got to think about, okay, when I put a negative in front of a quadratic, instead of a happy face, it was a sad face, right? So if my parent function is normally kind of looking like this, if I flip it, that means it's going to look like this. So I could write that as reflect across the x-axis. So almost like the x-axis is like a reflection line, like a mirror, and it just kind of flips over. This next one would be down 2. And then this next one right here would be left 4. So the transformations, which is kind of nice, the left and right but backwards, up and down but normal, the negative in the front does this reflection. It's all exactly like quadratics. And that's what Algebra 2 really focuses on when you get there, is we introduce a few more parent functions that we're not necessarily familiar with. And these transformations work for every parent function in mathematics. So it's kind of nice that you don't have to relearn it. It just kind of transfers to all these different things. All right, down here, what if I put a number in the front? So remember with quadratics, if we had a 3 in the front, it made it really narrow and like a thin parabola versus a 1/3 made it really like wide, like more like an actual smiley face. So it's similar here. The 3 on the square root function actually makes it more like up and down wide, and the 1/3 actually makes it more narrow. Okay, so it kind of adjusts it that way. My recommendation for these one, what's the best way to graph these shifts? It's not a science. It's not a, oh, well, here's the pattern and here's how the 3 works, like it did for quadratics. We can't just go, oh, because there's a 3 in the front, I can go up 3 over 1, up 9 over 1, up 15 over 1, right? Like there's no trick. So when you see those transformations, just make a table. Plug in numbers, see what happens, just like we did on this first slide. Just plug in numbers, see what happens, and you'll get the general shape, and then that works just fine for me, okay? So your backup is to always make a table. All right, so give these a try. Go ahead and hit pause and try to graph these equations, and then once you're done, unpause, and let's see how you're doing. All right, so the first one, I know here's my parent function, and I'm shifting it up 1 because of that plus 1. So my parent function was 1, 3, 5, like going this way. So it's still going to have that same shape. But this dot where it started at 0, 0 for the parent function, now it's going to start at 0, 1. And then what I recommend you guys is you can make a table if you want to, but I would turn my hen sideways and just make it like a quadratic and do the 1, 3, 5, 7, so on and so forth, but sideways. You're still using that same pattern though, which is kind of nice. So the domain in this case is from 0 to infinity, and the range is from 1 to infinity. All right, let me change my colors. Let's look at the second one. So this is going, oh, not left 2, whoops, because it's backwards, so right 2. So instead of starting at 0, 0, it's going to start at 2, 0. Everything else is the same. It's going to have the same shape. So it's going to have that 1, 3. Now 5 goes off the graph a little bit, but that's okay. And my shape will look something like that. Please forgive my my graphs. My stylus isn't necessarily very thin, so sometimes it's kind of hard for me to draw them accurately on here. All right, so the domain is from 2 to infinity, and the range is 0 to infinity. All right, last one. First thing I notice is I see the -2 in the front, and I don't know what that does, but I do know this guy right here is going to move me right 1. So what I do know is I'm going to start right 1, and because of the negative in the front, instead of being a shape up like this, it's going to be a shape down like that. But I don't know anything else about it. So I'm going to make a table real quick. Let's plug in 2. If I plug in 2, 2 minus 1 is 1. Square root of 1 is 1, and 1 times -2 is -2. So 2, -2 is my next point, okay? Another one we want to plug in. Well, I could plug in 3, but if I plug in 3, I get 3 minus 1, or square root of 2, and we don't know that, right? So what if I plug in 5, because then I get square root of 4 when I do 5 minus 1. So square root of 4 is 2. 2 times -2 is -4. So 5, -4 is my next point. Really, once you get a couple, you can kind of see the shape. Notice how the 2 kind of stretched it a little bit. It's not as kind of narrow as the other one, okay? So domain is from 1 to infinity, and the range is from -infinity to 0, okay? If I went too fast, feel free to rewind, go back, watch these videos again. Worst case scenario, make a table every single time. Okay, if you get stuck, plug in numbers, see what happens, and it won't lead you astray, I promise. All right, you guys, after this video, I want you to work on the homework number 1. This is your first assignment for the week. There's only a couple problems. It's not too crazy, but remember, if you're struggling, make a table. If you're struggling with that, stop by and see me for office hours so that I can help you kind of piece everything together, because I know this stuff's kind of tricky, okay? All right, bye, you guys. Good luck.